we are.
Well.
See, there we are. We're on the monitor. That means we're live.
Yeah, I'm on the different side from you.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like that when
they
you're
used
looking
to
at it.
superimpose us.
Thank you, Marty.
Marty brought
some
the water.
Marty Campbell, our floor director and cameraman.
Hello?
Taking care of
Hello,
our needs.
Stasio?
Hey, welcome to Exiles. Glad to have you with us. Got a new week here. Is this the last full week of August? Are we already that deep into the month?
I'm so confused.
And that means the Labor Day weekend is coming up soon. Not this, but I think the following weekend.
The laborious day weekend. Last time, allegedly, to burn things on the grill. That's for the Yankees. That's for the Yankees.
When does Tigers football begin?
Next Saturday. Not this Saturday.
Are people going
to
have like their heads wrapped in cellophane in order to go to the game, or what's the rule from JDE?
They're going to have to mask, and that's from LSU. They're going to have to mask. But
social distancing?
No, just masking.
See, that's where I'm going to call BS. If they say social distancing is important as masking, except for when we're selling tickets.
No, I think they're going to. I think they're also going to do the rapid COVID testing on anybody that hasn't been vaccinated. But either way, you still have to be masked.
Hey, you have to show your COVID passport.
The drummer of the Rolling Stones, Charlie Watts, has died at the age of 80.
Yeah.
I always thought that he was one hell of a drummer.
That was depressing news, but I sensed that something was up. Charlie said this year, they had numerous tour dates booked, including a fall jazz fest. And Charlie was like, not this year, guys, not going to do it.
Well, and they said, I think it was not last week, but the week before, that he was skipping these dates because he needed a medical procedure. Apparently, he needed it pretty badly.
So do we know what cause was, or have they not released it?
Well, I'll tell you what. A spokesperson for the Stones said, "It is with immense sadness that we announce the death of our beloved Charlie Watts. He passed away peacefully in a London hospital earlier today, surrounded by his family. Charlie was a cherished husband, father, and grandfather, and also as a member of the Rolling Stones, one of the greatest drummers of his generation."
I couldn't agree more. Not a particularly flashy drummer.
No, he was not.
Bill and I, before the program, were discussing, and I said, I don't think anybody ever heard Charlie Watts do a drum solo at a Rolling Stones concert.
The closest is the 3 bars at the beginning of "Get Off My Cloud," when there's nobody playing but Charlie.
But Charlie was perfectly content just to be the strong spine of that band. I mean, he was the backbeat and the backbone.
Well, if I know you've seen them live, right?
Oh, several times.
Yeah. And particularly in the early days when they were just cranking out record after record after record. He was always so strong, but he managed never to be too loud, which is a real trick if you're a drummer. I mean, he was just strong.
Charlie Watts, one of the greats. He continued to play the drums. Actually, some bands, when the musicians get up there, they may be holding their instrument, but somebody that you don't see below the riser or something is actually playing.
Somebody in the orchestra pit.
But Charlie Watts, way up into his 70s, played the drums, and he just was an amazing individual. And as I told Bill earlier, the most interesting face of any of the Rolling Stones, I thought. He had a lot of character on that face.
Oh, yeah. Now, what happens when you have a 5-person unit originally, and of course Brian Jones died when they were putting out their first 6 or 7 hits, and he was replaced by Ronnie Wood.
No, he was replaced by Mick Taylor.
Mick Taylor,
and then Mick Taylor just left the band and decided he didn't want to play with the Rolling Stones anymore.
But of your
creative differences with Keith Richards.
Of your 5 originals, 3 are now deceased. Bill Wyman died, about 6-7 years ago, something like that? He had cancer.
Yeah, Bill had retired, but then he passed away.
So, what do you think Mick and Keith are thinking right now? Are they thinking it's time to maybe go sit on the money and enjoy yourself and not tour anymore? What do you think?
I don't know. I think that I could just give you my opinion, my guess. I think that Mick Jagger feeds on live audiences. I don't know about Keith Richards. He seems He seems indifferent sometimes.
He never seemed to have fun in 65 and 66 on stage.
But I think that Mick Jagger loves to perform, and he probably will continue to perform for as long as he can perform. And right now, the Rolling Stones is three guys. It's Ron Wood, Keith Richards,
And Mick.
and Mick. And that's it. It's three guys. And the rest of the band, they just round out with whatever musicians they need, you know, to go on tour or to go in the studio. So, I don't know. I think we'll see an 80-year-old Mick Jagger still performing live. You know, I'm not sure. One of my other favorites, Paul McCartney, and I think that Paul is signaling that he's ready to stand down from live performance.
He's not talking aloud about, I'll see you in September at the St. Louis Arena. He's not doing a lot of that.
And you notice he's heavily into this podcast he's doing now. Mm-hmm. And but I don't know. Would the world be okay without Mick Jagger? Would we miss him all that much?
You know, I think just for the sake of music history, we would.
Here's what I think. I think Jagger wants to go out in the saddle. I think when his time comes, he wants to be, if not on stage at the time.
You think he wants the big one?
If he's not on stage at the time, I think he wants to be still actively be performing and touring when it happens. And not in any state of semi-retirement.
What could kill Mick Jagger?
I don't know.
I mean, he's had enough substances through his body, and he weighs what, 85 pounds?
Yeah, well, even more so for Keith Richards. I envision a day, you know, thousands of years from now, when all that's left on the planet are cockroaches and Keith Richards.
Yeah, something like that. But again, you know, just for the sake of history, they announced late Sunday that Don Everly of the Everly Brothers had died.
Yep.
And I mean, it was like, I thought he was already dead. I thought both of them. But I mean, they were a very interesting act. They were kind of that late 50s, very early 60s niche. You know, like Brian Hyland.
They were wholesome. The Everly Brothers were wholesome.
They were wholesome. But I did not realize that he was still with us.
Yep, 84.
Yeah.
84 years of age.
And by the way, you know, Don and Phil both joined the Marine Corps Reserve. And at the height of their popularity in 1965, they got called into active duty and both went to Vietnam. And in fact, my former business partner was in a unit with them, and they used to tease him, and instead of Reveille, they'd have him sing "Wake Up Little Troopies" instead of "Wake Up Little Susie."
Well, for as wholesome as they were, "Wake Up Little Susie" was controversial because it inferred that someone had had sex and spent the night together.
Sex.
Well, and Charlie Watts, God rest him, the oldest of the Rolling Stones.
Charlie Watts with that face never had sex.
Yep. But
never.
He's the oldest of the Stones, and he was 80 years of age.
I always enjoyed listening to his drum work.
God save him, God keep him. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back. We got lots more to talk about on Exiles TV.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345. Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hey, we're back with Exiles TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. And we are coming to you live from 10655 Coursey Boulevard. That is the home of the Bayou Smokehouse. Good old school barbecue.
Yes, indeed.
Have you tried the brisket?
I have not. I've not tried the brisket yet.
Oh my God, the brisket is so good. And if you have, make sure you get yourself a side of the bourbon baked beans.
No.
Just incredible.
I may not be allowed those by my missus.
Sweet and wonderful people here, too.
I need to know what the half-life is on those. Or I might not get in the front door.
Just get you a little Beano at the...
That stuff actually works.
Yes, it does.
It actually works. And you don't have to worry about getting COVID from it or becoming magnetic or anything like that. Hey, we had a little lull in our gun crime for a few days. Now it's back. We've had 3 shootings in the last 2 days. Fortunately, none of them fatal. However, to compensate it, some moron cooked a kid in a car. But this is one that there were a lot more questions than answers. If you remember, at the end of May, there was a shooting outside the IHOP on Segan Lane.
Remember it very well.
And it certainly looked like a planned hit. And...
they were waiting for somebody to come out with the back door with the trash.
Mm-hmm. Now, Tyrese Keller, age 20, Melvin Brooks, 21, and Shermaine Molden, 21, were booked on Thursday, June 24th. A fourth suspect, who we don't get to know because he's 17, because he's a juvenile, he's the one accused of pulling the trigger. Now,
so is this some kind of initiation thing where the kid had to do the shooting?
If you're a smart crook now, you get the juvenile to do the heavy lifting.
And then all you can be convicted of is accessory.
That's right. But the fifth person involved in this, according to the Sheriff's Department, has been taken into custody. Travell Gerald, who is 19, was arrested by the U.S. Marshals last week, booked into the Dallas County Jail, then booked into East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on August 23rd. Excuse me, he was arrested in Dallas 2 weeks ago on charges of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, illegal possession of stolen things, and obstruction of justice. The arrest documents show that he was with Shermaine, Melvin, Travell, and Tyrese, and they traveled from Zachary to the IHOP at the request of Melvin Brooks. Melvin Brooks was apparently the mastermind. Detectives say surveillance video from the restaurant showed a blue Toyota Matrix parked in an adjacent parking lot or in a direct view of the employee smoking break area.
Okay.
The car was parked for about 30 minutes until the victims exited the building. Once they came out, the car left its parking spot, relocated to the driveway behind the business. The gunman exited the vehicle, ran to the smoke break area, and both began shooting at the victims. The person who died was Courtney Whitfield. He was 32 years old, and he was on a work release program. Second victim was taken to a hospital in serious condition. He has not been identified yet.
Have they published any? What was the beef with the victim that they wanted him dead?
Well, they couldn't get to him in prison. Maybe he was suspected of being a witness in cases against some of these other people.
A snitch.
Maybe he was suspected of being a snitch.
Snitches end up in ditches.
Or maybe it was just his day. These people do not actually have Mensa cards in their back pocket.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but isn't this the second shooting that has taken place at the IHOP on Segan Lane?
No, the Olive Garden on Segan Lane had the fatal shooting.
Virtually next door.
Yeah, about 4 years ago.
Virtually next door.
One of their longtime employees who was
I knew it was a
kitchen,
restaurant on that side of Segan Lane.
He was
there.
one of the cooks in the kitchen. He walked out the back door at the end of the shift. He was the last one going, and apparently a robbery, carjacking, something went awry, and he ended up getting killed.
Wow.
But, you know, again, what I find is interesting is these young guys with guns are getting better at eluding capture. They're getting better. The marshals are finding them, it seems the last 4 they found in Texas.
In another state, yeah. They get the hell out of Dodge for a while.
Yeah.
Until the trail goes cold.
It's not like the old days where they brag about that they killed so-and-so. And
they're also getting more hip to what the law is and what they can get away with. Like, for instance, you mentioned that the trigger man was a juvie.
Mm-hmm.
All of them were above age, but the trigger man. That way, the worst that they can be convicted of is accessory to or conspiracy.
One of the people that can go for life is not going to be charged as a juvenile. He's 19.
Uh-huh.
But the 17-year-old...
I don't think a 19-year-old should be charged. I think a 19-year-old should be charged as an adult.
But the 17-year-old is going to be charged as a juvenile as of right now. Now, that can change. Once the grand jury and the DA's office gets all of the reports and the evidence, they may decide to charge him as an adult.
So it took 5 people to kill one guy. Well, I guess ostensibly they were trying to kill 2, but they just...
Well...
Marksmanship is not apparently a strong suit amongst young people.
Well,
they just kind of spray and pray.
Well, it could also be sending a message. Could be sending a message. Like I said, this guy was on a work release program. And as I understand it, he spent his nights in St. Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
And they figured that they couldn't get to him there. Wow. And they have this story of the latest arrest doesn't have it, but they do have surveillance video of somebody coming in and checking to see where he worked in the restaurant. They thought he worked up front.
They were casing the joint.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So we will see. It sounds like a really bad 70s group. Shermaine, Melvin, Travell, and Tyrese.
I thought about that too. So that's the lineup of a Motown band.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, The Killers.
There's actually a band called The Killers.
Too soon?
Yes. Way too soon.
Too soon?
All right, another break. We're going to shift the crime from thuggy street crime to stuff that's a little more subtle, a little more well thought out. And the latest investigation by our state inspector general. That's coming up next on Exiles TV.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are 2 busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
This is State Treasurer John Schroeder urging you to check your mailbox. We just mailed out $4.5 million of unclaimed property checks to people across Louisiana. Unclaimed property is lost money turned over to the Department of Treasury so we can return it to you. The process is so easy, you can claim it right from your phone. Check for yourself, check for your family, and don't forget to check your businesses. This is your money. Claim it. Check your mailbox. And cash your check. It's that easy.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Go where summer leads you in an award-winning Mazda CUV. Find yours during Mazda's season of discovery.
Call, click, or come by and discover your new Mazda today at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Welcome back to Exiles TV.
We're going to call this segment, If the First Three Rows Would Please Stand Back, I'd like to show you something I'm really proud of.
Is that what we're going to call it?
Yeah, let's call it that.
The Office of State Inspector General Stephen Street, who has been a guest on this program a few times and was a frequent guest on our radio show, Stephen Street sent a strongly worded demand to the agency that oversees private security in Louisiana, urging them to preserve all communications involving their agency's head, who is named in a sexual misconduct complaint. External communications, written or electronic, including emails and text messages, are to be preserved from destruction or alteration and retained by the person now having possession of same documents.
In other words, they're preserving evidence for an investigation.
Yep. The person under investigation is the head of this agency, Fabian Blosch III. Now, I'm going to disclaim that while I don't consider Fabian Blosch to be a personal friend, I have met him and spoken to him on several occasions.
His dad, not...
And I do know Fabian Blosch III. I do know his father, Fabian Blosch Jr. But Fabian has been appointed. He's had a career in law enforcement, a long-standing career in law enforcement and private security, and now he heads the state agency that regulates private security. The charges are alarming. The misconduct report shows that Mr. Blosch allegedly used public money for his wife to go along with him on a conference in Africa. He reimbursed the agency the cost of her travel with a personal check that was never ever cashed.
Yeah, he wrote a check. He didn't reimburse anybody because he put a note on the check that said, hold it in the file.
It says that the note reads, allegedly, quote, Fabian did not give permission to deposit.
Yes.
So why write a check if you're not allowed to deposit it?
Because who is it? Chris Nakamoto. Quick, put that check in the bank.
Exactly.
That's what that's for.
And by the way, I do want to give Chris his propers. This is all from a Chris Nakamoto story on WBRZ. There's that accusation. He is also accused of hiring his soon-to-be sister-in-law, even though she didn't do any work for the agency, according to the report by the IG's office. The IG's office continues saying he hired another friend to be an instructor after the friend had an arrest for contractor fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Our district attorney, Hiller Moore, told Channel 2 that he was aware of the situation, made aware a couple of weeks ago. Multiple other entities aware of the situation all agreed that the Inspector General would conduct this investigation. At this point, what we agree to among our offices is to have the Inspector General take care of it, Moore says, instead of having multiple agencies interview witnesses all over and over again. A WBRZ investigative unit headed by Nakamoto also found that that is not the only impropriety Mr. Blosch is accused of. A letter drafted by attorney Jill Kraft said that Blosch retaliated against a female employee who turned down his sexual advances.
Yes, this was on a business trip. And the woman, by the way, he met her at a club where she worked as an exotic dancer. So I'm sure she knows a lot about private investigations.
And then became an employee.
I'm here all day.
Yeah.
But anyway, the allegations say that he insisted on sharing a bed with the woman during a business trip and exposed his genitals to her during that trip. She also said that he threatened her job on several occasions, telling her that she wouldn't be able to get another job without his help. Quoting, "On numerous occasions, Mr. Blash reminded her she was unclassified, that she served at his pleasure," bad choice of words, "and as a single mother with a profoundly disabled child, would be unable to find employment elsewhere." The woman's lawyer also claims that Mr. Blash sent lewd text messages while she worked from home during the pandemic, including naked pictures of Mr. Blash's wife.
Yes.
What the hell is going on here?
I think he wanted a little two-girl action going.
Yowzer.
Now, I hasten to remind everyone watching that these are allegations. These are charges, and the investigation is only now just getting underway. So, Mr. Blash, Fabian Blash III, is innocent until he is proven guilty in a court of law. I got to tell you something. I've known his father for a long, long time, and I think his father's one of the nicest and most decent people that I've ever met.
I don't know either of them, but I've heard that about his father, yes.
And I also was very impressed with Fabian III. The times that I've met him and spoken to him and had conversations with him. And I'm going to tell you, Bill, honestly, I do not want to believe these allegations. But what it tells me is sometimes you just don't know. You may think you know somebody, you may think you have a good lock on what kind of a person they are, but then you just don't know.
Well, you know, he has been placed on leave. And he was placed on leave more than 2 months ago, pending the outcome of the investigation. Everybody in law enforcement that has been a part of this believes that there will be an indictment handed down for some of this. But it's kind of odd that all of his personal effects and everything, including a beautiful map of the trip he took to Africa on state money that his wife and company, it's all on the wall. So he has now been on leave since July the 7th.
This is very shocking news for me. Very.
Yes.
I thought that my opinion of Fabian up until this point was he was a chip off the old block. And a mighty strong block it was.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this is just more of the, I mean, to me, the thing that gets tiresome more than anything else is the public corruption in Louisiana.
Yeah, we are going to, let me put it this way. The type of public corruption that we have used to be tolerable. In other words, somebody that headed an agency that had 1,000 employees would find some sort of a job for a big political supporter or a nephew or niece of somebody else, but they had to actually do the job. You didn't have people that were actually buying tickets, and this was about, I believe this was about a $12,000, $13,000 trip, and $4,500 of it is what he said his wife would have been responsible for.
Right.
And then not immediately go in and deposit it with an explanation. And he says he thought that he was the keynote speaker. He thought that they were going to pay for it, the people that were holding the conference, and they didn't.
There's no reason why the state, if you work for a state agency, there's no reason why the state agency or the state in general should pay for your spouse to come along with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to travel on business and took Karen along, weren't you expected to pay for that out of pocket, or vice versa?
Well, when I have traveled for business, I have made it a point, if Karen is coming along, to pay for it out of pocket, not even get the ticketing done through the business that is sending me.
Mm-hmm.
And when Karen worked for Children's Miracle Network and flew 150 days a year,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes if it was going to be in Chicago over a weekend, I would want to go. I bought my own ticket under my own name. There wasn't any of this. You can reimburse people later because it looks bad.
It looks bad. It's optics. By the way, one more thing I want to say about this story. I'm going to refer back to the first sentence in the WBRZ story that I'm reading from. The Office of the State Inspector General sent a strongly worded demand to the agency that oversees private security in Louisiana, urging them to preserve all communications involving their agency's leader who's named in a sexual misconduct complaint. Now, I'm going to scroll down to the comments section. WBRZ still allows comments, and I don't know why.
To their own
because
peril.
I'm sorry if you're one of these people, but the people who comment on stories on WBRZ are not some of the smartest people. So this person named Chris says, a quote, strongly worded demand letter means it isn't worth the paper it is printed on. Chris, you may be right about your opinion of that, but let something happen to those documents when a letter has been sent saying you'd better preserve them.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the weight of the law come down.
It's worth a hell of a lot more than the paper it's written on. Again,
it's a warning.
Yeah.
Don't be shredding nothing, because if we find out, it's going to be much, much worse.
Yeah. Now, by the way, this is not the first time Mr. Blaish has been placed on leave. In 2018, he was placed on leave, was later reinstated by the board in a 5-4 vote. I think his biggest problem is going to be the apparent pattern of lewd, crude, and hostile remarks of a sexual nature. But his second biggest problem is going to be he has directed some money be rendered to people that were about to be related to him, and they could find no record of any work for that money or any invoice from that individual. There is one person, her name is Gott, and he directed somebody, Victoria Gott, he directed an employee to write a check to her for $2,500. The only work she performed was 6 months after she cashed the check, when she investigated a training instructor. She never supplied the board with any invoices for her work, and she is engaged to Blash's brother-in-law. Now, there is a certain element that works in government, not so much in private business, although you do see it. You know, if your daddy owns the engineering company. But there's a certain element in government that really thinks they're going to get away with something as blatant as all of this. You know, and
well, you know why they think that? Because for many, many decades, they did.
Well, and there are still people who work in government that consider themselves to be, and they're mostly correct, untouchable because they fit a certain category of individual. They look good in that category on a report. But I don't know that this person considered themselves untouchable, or if they're just that blatantly dumb.
I don't know.
To write a reimbursement check and then say don't deposit it?
Put a note on it that said don't deposit it.
That's three kinds of stupidity.
Yeah.
Because number one, you write it, it's got a date on it, all right? Number two, now you're sharing with somebody else, you know, look, I'm not really going to deposit this check to reimburse. So they can be called as a witness against you, and then you say put it in a file where it remained. Nakamoto had a picture of it.
Yeah.
That's all kinds of dumb.
I don't know what to make of all this. Mr. Blash, by the way, maintains that he is innocent of any wrongdoing, and any and all questions or comments are referred to his attorney.
And he is, by the way, legitimately innocent of anything until it's proven in a court.
Yep. Even if the Inspector General comes through with solid charges, it's still got to go to court.
Still got to go to court.
All right, let's take another break. We still have more to talk about here. If this were still the Trump vaccine, would we see different people saying I'm not taking it? It's a good question. Exiles returns in a moment.
Bellello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bellello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
This is State Treasurer John Schroeder urging you to check your mailbox. We just mailed out $4.5 million of unclaimed property checks to people across Louisiana. Unclaimed property is lost money turned over to the Department of Treasury so we can return it to you. The process is so easy, you can claim it right from your phone. Check for yourself, check for your family, and don't forget to check your businesses. This is your money. Claim it. Check your mailbox. And cash your check. It's that easy.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Hey, we're back with Exiles TV. I'm Kevin and he's Bill. Have you heard, Bill, about the blowback, the Twitter blowback on George Takei?
Oh my.
Captain Sulu from Star Trek. You know, because he did get his own ship in the movies.
Did he really?
Yeah, so Sulu ascended to the rank of captain. And
I wouldn't have given him a
got
ship.
his own ship. But Captain Sulu, now look, I like George Takei and I've always enjoyed his performances, not only in Star Trek, but the Green Berets and any number of cheesy, low-budget science fiction films he got stunt cast in because he was Sulu. But in his later years, he has gone a little bit bonkers on Twitter. And he is, as most people would know, I mean, first, he's a gay man, but this Twitter episode had nothing to do with him being gay.
No, but
he's also staunchly Democrat, leftist, progressive, globalist, all about that stuff.
Which again, if as a gay man who lived in Hollywood he wasn't, he needs to have his head examined.
Yeah, exactly. You pretty much, if you're going to be part of the Hollywood scene, you've got to be all lefty-Louie.
And particularly if you're gay.
But of course, he's completely down with any and all of the COVID-19 mask, social distancing, get the vaccine directives. I mean, he's vehemently down with. And the other day he posted, I don't know if I can find it so I can read it verbatim, but I think I can get pretty close.
Paraphrase it.
And he basically, to paraphrase, was saying, you know, the reason that we're all being locked down, the reason we're having to show vaccine, you know, passports, is because of those of you that won't get the damn vaccine. And people that won't get the vaccine are more at risk of dying of this thing. And I say, to quote Captain Kirk from one of the Star Trek movies, let them die. Which was clever because there is a movie where the Klingons are in danger and Captain Kirk says, let them die. because he's angry because a Klingon killed his son. But immediately, the first response to his tweet was from someone saying, "Are you aware that African Americans make up the majority of the people who are not getting the COVID vaccine? Why do you hate black people and want them to die?" And then everybody else just dogpiled on poor old George.
So when I have said, and I've said it 3 times now, twice on our podcast and once on this television show, I've said I am so sick of hearing it that I'm ready for Darwin to take over. Are people going to infer that I don't like black people because of that?
I think that there are people out there who know your work, Bill, and think that of you already. I think that there are people watching this program. Well, maybe not watching this program right now, but I think that there are people that think you and I are both a couple of racists. And couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, but
you reach a point when you're being so stupid that, yeah, Darwin needs to take over. But I think it was a little harsh of George to say, let them die.
Well, it was. It was harsh. It's harsh when I say it. It's harsh if you were to say it. But to immediately infer that it is racially motivated, that's a great big leap. And see, the thing is, why do people want to make that leap?
I don't think the virus has any clue whether it's infecting a black person or a white person or an Asian person.
Well, and I and again, at the very beginning of all of this, just for some perspective, at the very beginning of all of this, there were people in African American enclaves and communities that were saying that they were getting screwed over by the white man because they didn't have the same amount of health care, they were not getting the same resources.
The vaccine's free, everybody.
That's what I'm saying. Now, we heard at the very beginning of this, going back 6 months, that black people were the biggest refusers of the vaccine.
I think it's an inherent distrust of anything that the government's behind.
Well,
and it doesn't matter which government.
They were all screaming and yelling that they weren't getting all the health care that the government was providing when their hospitalization rate and their death rate went up.
Yep.
So I think George Takei was just talking in general.
Well, I think what George Takei was expressing his disdain for is what he thinks the vaccine scoffers are, is the Trumpers and the righties. And when he says let them die, I don't think he's thinking about black people. He's thinking about all these people. I don't trust government.
But all the comment is addressed to is taking the vaccine. There's George now.
There's somebody who knows what I do for a living.
Yeah. The comment is simply addressed to people who refuse the vaccine. So you can't ascribe race, gender, political affiliation because the quote is what it is. But now what I am enjoying is people in our business, and the death toll is up to 3 because Phil Valentine assumed room temperature on Sunday. But all of these people in our business that thought they were so witty, making up songs about why you don't need the vaccine and how you should refuse it and how you should revolt against it, and it's all a hoax and it's not real. 3 of them have now died of COVID. And you know what they all had in common? They were all whining like a bunch of little girls when they had to go into the hospital going, I'm so sorry, I was wrong, can I have the virus? Too late now, Sparky. I regret it. God, if I live through this, when I get back on the air, I'll tell everybody to go get vaccinated. You can die like a man.
I'm just waiting for physicians to get the vaccine. And I'm getting impatient because I want to get it done.
You know what? If you call Physicians Mutual, they'll okay you over the phone. That's life insurance.
Thank you. Appreciate you. I'm going to ask another thing, a what if. If you remember when the Pfizer vaccine first became available, our president was Donald J. Trump.
And he initiated Operation Warp Speed to get it out.
There wasn't a lot, but there were people out there who don't like Donald J. Trump who said, I'm not taking that damn Trump vaccine. But as soon as we change presidents, their tune changed. So I would ask you, this is a what-if scenario. If Donald Trump had won, okay, a lot of people think he did win. If Donald Trump were reelected president and was sworn in for his second term back in January, would we have an entirely different group of people saying, I'm not taking that damn vaccine?
Yeah.
Because the whole thing in my mind is political, and who do you trust?
Now here's something very interesting. It was a small news story on Saturday. Apparently, Trump went to one of these corporate meetings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some big corporation there, and there's plenty of them in Birmingham, had a crowd of about 3,000 people that he was speaking to. And at the end of his remarks, he said, go out and get vaccinated. I mean it. He's trying to do the right thing, and his own people booed him. They booed him in Alabama.
Yeah, because there are so many conservatives, righties, whether they're registered Republicans or not, that just don't trust government. And they trust it even less when the Democrats are in charge.
But you know, it's easy to throw that out there. Just like the people, I'm waiting until it gets full FDA approval. And I look at them and I say, well,
you realize how many poisons that some of us have taken for years before the FDA approved them and then pulled them?
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, that happens with any kind of new compound, whether it's a pesticide, a food additive, or a medication. But I look at them and I say, so what do you think? If they approve it, is there a big green button that they push and it sends vaporizing radio waves to all the stuff that's in the freezers now, which is going to go into your arm? It is the same thing. It has nothing to do with anything.
I just think...
and all the people, by the way, there's a nurse who has made videos of this, and I think she's wonderful because she's very nice and very kind, you know, and she's taking the patient history, and she says, so are you vaccinated? No. Okay, is there any particular reason why? Well, it's not been fully approved, so I didn't get vaccinated. She said, okay, I feel I need to tell you this. The treatment we will use, the monoclonal antibodies, that's also on emergency use authorization, and it's not fully approved by the FDA. So do you want to decline that? No! Give it to me! Put it in my arm! These people are the greatest example of hypocrisy I have ever seen in my life. Now, this host, Phil Valentine, that was heard on 100 radio shows, I have to admit, 100 radio stations, I have to admit, I had to interact with the man 3 times when I did those DC shows. And I have a dislike for him that is bigger than my dislike for canned spinach.
Well, he's gone now, Bill.
Yes, he is. And you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead. A hole. Plain and simple. And whining like a little bitch in the hospital. Please, God, let me live and I'll tell everybody, go get the vaccine. I was wrong.
It is what it is.
You know what, though? Serves a very good example.
I have never been reluctant to get a vaccine. I've certainly wasted time and procrastinated. For instance, shingles vaccine. It's out there. Why haven't I gotten it yet?
I haven't gotten mine either.
Well, you don't want to get the shingles. That's for damn sure. Listen, we got to take another break.
You can look at me at my age and say I need the whole roof.
We got one more segment here. We'll come back and wrap things up on Exiles TV. Thanks for being with us.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
The all-new 22 Civic, now on sale at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
We're back with Exiles TV, and the news this morning was that a little over 40% of Louisiana has gotten the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, what I'm hoping is that if these numbers continue to improve, and by the way, that we've also had hospital admissions are
coming down,
trending downward,
which is great,
which is very good. No, the COVID vaccine won't protect you from getting the virus. It won't protect you from getting sick, but chances are if you've had the vaccine, you won't get as sick, and you may not need to be hospitalized at all.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it prevents any kind of infection pretty broadly, but if you are older, if you're compromised, if you have other issues and you get exposed to a heavy dose of viral load, you're probably going to get sick, but it does protect you against serious cases and death.
Unconfirmed things said about the COVID vaccine, especially the Pfizer vaccine. This was out like a week and a half ago, that people that had actually had the vaccine had higher levels of the virus in their body than people that had not had the vaccine. But were just exposed. Not confirmed, not scientifically confirmed. So we're going to go with not true until it's been scientifically confirmed.
That's the FDA that's putting that out, the Facebook Doctors Association.
Thank you. So here's my hope. We've already seen the city of New York make vaccine passports a thing. We've seen copycat Mayor LaToya the Destroyer Cantrell in New Orleans do the same thing. You now have to have a vaccine passport in order to get into.
Or take a rapid test at the door.
Or take a rapid test
at the door.
Either way, I think a huge infringement on your personal rights. But if businesses are going to comply with that, that's their business. I'm hoping that more of us get the damn vaccine and show Governor Edwards and the state health officials the kind of numbers they want to see so that none of this becomes necessary on a statewide level.
Well, I will tell you what I am very worried about. Is I am worried about not this Friday, but the Wednesday after, right as we get into the beginning of September. All of these college students all over our state and other states that are back at school, and they're doing the rush parties and the keggers and all the things that college students do. And then all your high schools. I mean, you know, your high school students have a tendency to get real close to each other at a moment's notice. And I'm really, really worried. I saw an interview that was done with a bunch of students at LSU yesterday. And I said, oh my God, please tell me these kids are having a goof with the reporter. Please tell me they're not that stupid.
They're that stupid.
One of them said that he was not willing to take the microchip that comes along.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of people that believe there's a microchip in it.
You know what? If you really believe that, throw this away too. Because this tracks your every move, and you voluntarily keep this with you at all times.
Yes, even if you turn off your GPS, you're still being tracked.
And then the other one was this girl, and God love her.
You got to ask yourself, though, what the hell does the government care about you or where you're going?
You're not that important. You really aren't.
You don't amount to a hill of beans.
You're not that important. And then there was this girl, and I mean, let me say it this way. In her current condition, you would have to tie a pork chop around her neck to get a dog to play with her.
Uh-huh.
But she was worried about the ability to have children later on.
Why?
Yeah, you better worry about 20 days from now, sweet cheeks. That's the reality of it. But you are going to have a lot of people that, okay, you said you wouldn't get it till it was approved. Now it's approved. You're gonna get. I was just joshing. I heard that it'll make you magnetic. There is a nurse in Baton Rouge, by the way. Lovely lady.
Believes that?
No. She carries around, she goes to people that can't get out and offers them the vaccine. And she carries a magnet with her. And if she has one in the family that wants the vaccine, she will give them the shot and then put the magnet on his arm and it'll fall off. And she'll do that 5 or 6 times.
It's not magnetic.
To prove that it doesn't make you as a person magnetic.
Yep. A lot
Let's
of paranoia.
not glory in our stupidity anymore.
A lot of paranoia, a lot of ignorance, a lot of false news getting out there because we spend time on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, and face it, there are a lot of us. I've got a friend that's like this. He always wants to know something else nobody else knows, even if he knows it's ridiculous, just to get a reaction out of you.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bill, our time is up for the day. We'll be back on Thursday morning. We'll have a repeat of this program tonight at 10 and again tomorrow at noon.
In the meantime, stay out of this heat. This heat is extremely dangerous and will be for the next couple days. And try to enjoy what you can in life right now. It is fleeting. Thanks for being with us.
God
See
bless.
you soon.